Hey, happy Beltane everybody. It's a wonderful sunny day today, marking the time period between the spring equinox and the summer equinox, okay? So it's a time when the Earth Mother is said to be reborn in all of her glory. There are many people who will be seeking her blessings today. There'll be Beltane bonfires going on, people leaving offerings to nature. It can be just feeding the birds, you know, kind of something like that. It doesn't have to be anything too intricate. But yeah, it's a great day to seek the Mother's favor, to ask for her blessings going forward, particularly if you were looking for some kind of abundance, internally, externally. Do, you know, take a moment to speak with her, to ask for her favor. Okay, so a bit of a different video today. I'm really excited for this. I went to the charity shops the other day. Anyone who knows me knows that I love a charity shop. Everything I buy is pretty much secondhand. But I was in this charity shop and I was kind of browsing just the trinkets and the random stuff, and I found this book. It says Dragon Quest, and I'm not really sure why I was so drawn to the book. I think because I'd been receiving a lot of messages about dragons and what they represent. In a spiritual context, I was receiving messages on Instagram, and I found this and I began reading it, and I was blown away, absolutely blown away by the symbolism in this book. And really what I think about it is that it very much pertains to light workers. You know, the dragons within this book, to me, represent those who are light workers, who have that spiritual calling, who wish to uplift the collective and to be of service to humanity. So I thought I'd share it with you because it's beautiful. It's called Dragon Quest. It was written by Yvengia Margolis in, very old, 1973, and it used to be 20 pence. They charged me $2.75 for it, but we will not talk about that. Okay, so I'm just going to start and see what you think. Okay. Ever so long ago, when flowers knew how to speak and fairies dared to be seen, when all the creatures of the world lived on a lovely stew of honeydew and moonbeams, there lived a dragon named Montague. He lived not alone, but with Madame Montague and several hundred children. Dragons are affectionate creatures, and their babies easily created with a little love and 3 sparks of gold. Rather, a large number... Ever so long ago, when flowers knew how to speak and fairies dared to be seen, when all the creatures of the world lived on a lovely stew of honeydew and moonbeams, there lived a dragon named Montague. He lived not alone, but with Madame Montague and several hundred children. Dragons are affectionate creatures, and their babies easily created with a little love and 3 sparks of gold. Rather a large number of cousins lived with the Montagues, having come to visit 1,000 years ago and forgetting to leave. All of them had a strong family resemblance. They were remarkably attractive, with golden scales and multicoloured designs, with flashing eyes and pink puffs of smoke surrounding them when they laughed. Montague and his family should have been perfectly happy. They had everything dragons could wish for. They had cool, damp caves to sleep in, the sun to warm themselves, sand to roll in and polish their scales, perfume for behind their ears. Dragons have very large ears. And all the gold they could eat. They had all of this and much more, and still they were discontented. As Montague put it at a family dinner, we dragons, being the largest and most intelligent creatures on earth, must do something noble. We must search for what we can do and whom we can help. Now, this was all very fine and well, but as several cousins observed, the world was quite perfect already. After all, every creature had all they needed or desired. Montague was determined, though, that dragons could be useful. So the dragons filled their knapsacks with sandwiches of soft gold and set off into the world in search of something wonderful to do. The other animals laughed at them and suggested they go fishing instead. There were many disappointments. Wherever they went, they were welcome but not needed. Montague explained his burning ambition to each creature he met, but the suggestions he received were not right somehow. A not-so-wicked giant said that the dragons could guard his gold for him. That wasn't quite what they had in mind. Madame Montague observed that as big as the giant was, he was hardly the whole world, and really his gold wasn't that important. You can find fresh gold in every stream and puddle when the sun comes out after a storm. They thanked the giant kindly, but said they would look further and set off on their search again. The next people they met were the fairies. On hearing of Montague's request, they suggested that the dragons pull their fairy carts. Dragons would go so much faster than the snails who had the job at present. As sweet and beautiful as the fairies were, the dragons decided to decline. For fairies can fly as well as walk and did not need a carriage, let alone dragons to pull it. So they said a polite thank you and an even politer goodbye and set off once again. When they arrived at the ocean shore, the dragons saw the old man of the sea sitting on a rock far out in the water. Montague swam away to speak to him and hoped that he would have a better idea than the giant and the fairies. But when the old man overcame his astonishment at a wet dragon, all he could think of was that the sea's floor hadn't been swept for a long time. Would the dragons like to do that? The answer was no. Montague hated sweeping, it's bad for your tail. And besides, where would you put all of that sand if you did sweep it up? So a cold, wet Montague swam back to his waiting family after thanking the old man for his help. They were very tired and almost discouraged, and they neared the edge of the world and still had not found a worthy task. Perhaps the rabbits and other animals were right, and it was silly to try and do anything more than play, eat, and live comfortably. But still, the dragons went on. I'm just going to show you this image. Just as they reached the ends of the earth, the sun vanished over the edge with a puff, and night descended with a bang. Very unpleasant, I assure you. Then Montague had an idea. He looked at the golden glowing dragons making their own light, and he brightened up more. We can follow the sun on his journey across the earth, and when he leaps over the edge, we could hover in the sky so that the world would be lit up as long as possible. Then the night would descend with a shivering whisper instead of a raucous bang. All the dragons thought this a wonderful idea and raced to the other side of the world to greet the sun on his return and see what he thought of it. They flew as fast as they could. All the animals admired the shining display and arrived at the other side of the world just as the sun slowly ascended. He was very surprised to find a herd of dragons waiting for him. They all spoke at once, snorting and lashing their tails in excitement. The sun grew very impatient as he couldn't understand a word they said. Finally, Montague spoke alone and explained his idea to the sun. At first, the sun could see no reason for the world to be kept light longer. After all, there was quite enough day and a reasonable amount of night. But the dragons pleaded so much that at last he agreed they should follow him. The dragons were delighted and could not wait to begin their new way of life. The sun set off again, a little faster than usual to make up for the time lost in conversation. The dragons swallowed a few sunbeams for strength, ate the last of the gold in their knapsacks. Then they lifted themselves into the soft morning air, which is so easy to fly in, and followed the sun on his endless voyage. When they reached the other side of the earth and the sun fell below the horizon, The dragons arranged themselves in the sky in a myriad of patterns and remained poised like shimmering, ever-changing dreams. They swirled and varied their colours for fully an hour, and as long as they were there, the sky stayed light and the earth was bathed in gold. Then they too slowly descended, and the brightness dissolved behind them with a nightingale's song. Now, when evening comes, watch the sunset and look for the dragons. Then thank them in a whisper, because without their dream the sun would still vanish in a rapid poof, and the night would fall with an unpleasant bang, and we would not know the joy of twilight. An absolutely incredible little story there. And really what this speaks to me of is people searching for their purpose, people realizing their potential, realizing that they have something great, something powerful to offer to the world. And really the world does not see how these people can be of service. It does not see, because everything is as it is. That there's a lack of vision really in this world. Before the dragons come in and they use their light to provide a different experience for the world, which is beloved, which is really appreciated. But for the longest time on their journey, nobody could see how useful they could be, and the light that they could offer, the way that they could change things, the way that they could keep the light for as long as possible, and even just them illuminating. To me, that speaks of divine light. It speaks of people who are searching for their purpose, who are searching to be useful, who are searching to uplift the collective consciousness. And it's all about that journey. It's all about that journey to your purpose, to your highest timeline, to fulfilling what your soul is seeking to do. And I just thought that it was so very special, and I really had to share it with you. So I hope that you enjoyed that. And thank you for tuning in.